How to be an Indian citizen? That's the big debate which is playing out in the corridors of power in parliament and in the corridors of the judiciary. Hello and welcome to this special episode here on the squirrels.in. I've, like many of our countrymen, been looking at this entire debate which has been going on now about the relevance, about the needs. I've been tracking this entire special intensive revision of electoral rolls which is currently going on in Bihar, just like many of you. And I've really been amazed with the amount of time of the election commission, the volume of time of our highest echelons of judiciary, which, by the way, only seem to be too occupied in determining what should be done with stray dogs, what should be done with food which is left over in the corridors of the Supreme Court at a time when the honorable lordships themselves keep lamenting over the fact that there are so many cases and so few judges. So the court's time is also very, very important for you and for me. But back to this special intensive revision of electoral rolls. If the Election Commission really had to carry out this entire exercise, and if it had to do so, let's say in Bihar, first question is, why did it have to do so close to the elections? There is a certain process, there is a certain methodology which has been used in several states. And not for a moment, folks, am I getting into this entire debate of vote chori and potential of EVM hacking and potential of election voters list being manipulated or defrauded. That's for another episode. Here, I only want to focus on what the Election Commission is really trying to do. Now, my producers have picked up a few points which will convince you that actually this entire debate is much ado about nothing. If anything, it's an entirely misleading debate for us. Do you know that the Election Commission of our country, on one hand, takes this position that if you have a mere Aadhaar card, it's not good enough. A mere Aadhaar card is not good enough for you to be considered as an Indian citizen. Now, let me just rephrase that statement a bit for you. If you're a citizen of Bihar and if you want to get a passport made, do you know that on the list of the documents for getting a passport made, which will prove your nationality, is lo and behold an Aadhaar card? So what is this entire debate all about? I look at the entire list which has been prepared by the Election Commission. Proof of ordinary residences. This is according to a press release which was issued on the 23rd of June 2022. It states Election Commission has directed that while establishing the fact of ordinary residence of an applicant, the electoral registration officer may ask for a copy of any of these following documents. What are these documents? Water, electricity, gas connection bill for that address, at least for the previous 1 year, Aadhaar card, current passbook of Nationalized Scheduled Bank or Post Office, an Indian passport, Revenue Department's land owning records, including Kisan Bahi, registered rent lease, registered sale deed. All these were documents which are acceptable. Now, suddenly, in this new list of documents, according to the special intensive revision, what is replaced? Aadhaar card. So, any identity card, pension payment order issued to regular employee pensioners is good enough for you to be considered as an Indian citizen. Any identity card, certificate, document issued in India by government local authorities, banks, post offices prior to 1987, 1st of July 1987, also acceptable. Birth certificate issued by the competent authority, a passport. Now, the same passport for which you require an Aadhaar card, you have knocked off the Aadhaar card from this list, but you've kept the passport on. So my humble submission to the three honorable election commissioners is, what are you really trying to do? I'm not for a moment doubting your intentions. I'm all for this, that if a person has died, that person's name has to be removed from the list of electors, the list of voters of that particular region. But is this the way you do it? Do you create a problem which then ends up consuming so much of our national discourse, our natural resource, our natural time, and all that translates into actual hard money? Is that what is required? Was this the best possible solution? That's contradiction number one. Contradiction number two, and again, it all is just a simple cursory reading of what the Election Commission or various arms of the government are trying to do. When you go in to apply for a passport, and now I'm looking at it, sorry, take two. When you go in to apply for a passport, simply go in to the services to passportindia.gov.in, the list of documents which is required. Again, it's a water bill, it's a telephone bill, it's an electricity bill, an income tax assessment officer order, election commission photo ID card, proof of gas connection, spouse's passport copy, or your own Aadhaar card. So, bhaiya, I'm not understanding that why this problem against the Aadhaar card if for providing every service which can be extrapolated into you being considered to be an Indian citizen, you require an Aadhaar card. Now, let's turn the spotlight completely in the context of Bihar. I was looking very amusingly at this courtroom exchange which was taking place between Justice Kant on one side and the legal luminary noted lawyer Abhishek Manu Singhvi on the other. And the honorable judges of the Supreme Court asked this question, oh, so we understand that a majority chunk of people of Bihar do not have access to a birth certificate, but a major chunk of the people of Bihar have access to a passport. You know, I want to inform the honorable judges. I come from the state of UP, and Bihar is just on the outskirts of UP, just on the outskirts of Purvanchal. The number of people who want to get out of Bihar and will do anything to get hold of that passport is because Bihar does not have things to offer for a new generation, much like large parts of Uttar Pradesh. But certainly the problem is far more acute in UP, in Bihar. So why are you so surprised, my lordship? Why are you so surprised that the number of people in Bihar who have greater number of passports is more than the number of people in Bihar who may have access to their birth certificates? They want to get hold of that passport because they want to get out of the state, they want to get out of the country. Whether they end up becoming a class 3, class 4 laborer somewhere in the Gulf or in any of the European countries, they are on the lookout for a better life and they will go to any extent to get hold of the better life. Is the Election Commission therefore suggesting that your quest of a better life today actually runs completely in the face of your ability or your right to cast your vote? Is that where this entire debate has now been come to? Is that where it has been reduced to? The Election Commission is on to an exercise which I think is required as far as intentions is concerned, but is not required when it comes to execution. Point number 3. Look at one of the documents which is mentioned here. Sale of land deeds. Anyone who has had any experience of being in any part of rural India, again, certainly in parts of UP and Bihar. Have you ever been to a Tehsildar's office? Have you ever been to an office where land records are, let's say, mutated, or when registries take place, or when a sale deed is prepared? Do you know how those sale deeds are prepared? The volume of fakery which takes place in this business of land acquisition, of land transactions, is so high and is so methodical by now that it's impossible to figure out exactly where is a lacuna, where is a loophole. So the Election Commission wants to believe that. The Election Commission does not want to believe the Aadhaar card. The Election Commission does not want to believe the fact that the passport is being made on the basis of Aadhaar card and the passport is making that individual an Indian entity. But the Election Commission wants to get hold of that birth certificate of someone who may have been a laborer or may have been a poor agriculturist, let's say back and beyond of Motihari or Saharsa or somewhere. How many people in Bihar would really have access to that document? Who is now at the age of, let's say, 40, 45, going to go to a collector's office and say, hey, you know what? I was born in this village 45 years back. But guess what? Where I was born, that village has now been completely replaced by maybe a building, by maybe a swanky expressway, or who knows, a swanky government office. The reality just doesn't add up. And that is the biggest problem with this entire special intensive revision of electoral rolls. It does not take into consideration the political and social realities of the state of Bihar. And that is why my earnest appeal to the honorable election commissioners, you're barking up the wrong tree, sirs. You're creating a mechanism, you're creating a scenario which will only lead to greater social rift. It will lead to greater social contradictions coming out in the fore. Please do something about it. Make it more transparent. Do not call it special intensive revision of rolls. Call it revision of electoral rolls just the way you would do before any election. Make it more transparent and try and get rid of those people who may not be alive but whose names may be there on the electoral list. Try and get rid of duplicity. Try and get rid of those people whose names on the basis of the same address may be appearing on multiple occasions. You don't need this kind of a mechanism that you have created of asking for birth certificates or asking for land record certificates. If you do not take your steps back, irrespective of what happens in the Supreme Court, the social consequences will be very, very hard to pay for everybody. And that, I think, is the biggest realization that the Election Commission of India must have. Tell us what you think about this video. Share your thoughts with us in our comment section, and I'd love to get back to you about what you've been telling me.